All right, let's talk Miami Hurricanes football, ranked number 6 in the country, but number 1 in causing heart attacks in South Florida. This is a team that has survived over the past couple weeks with some just, I tell you what, heart-wrenching finishes. They were able to pull it out, but they're still undefeated, and we're seeing some good news pile in about a massive move the Hurricanes just pulled off for the future as well. Great sign for Miami. I'm Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, this Miami football team, they're number 6 in the country. They're clearly the best team in the ACC, in my opinion. And obviously, they're a national title contender. We all understand that. But they have to play better the way they've done, especially early on in games over the past 2 weeks. And one of the things that can help with that is maybe another key playmaker. They can't solve the problem this season, but they just made a great move for the future in that regard. Let's pull up this report courtesy of 24/7 Sports. After committing to the Florida Gators back in late June, Pembroke Pines, Florida, West Broward 3-star wide receiver Joshua Marr had a change of heart on Tuesday evening. The South Florida pass catcher flipped his verbal commitment from the Florida Gators to the hometown Miami Hurricanes. All right, this is obviously a massive flip, obviously an in-state guy pulling a guy away from the Florida Gators, getting him to commit now to you. Great job by Cristobal. You better believe him and his staff were pressing this guy hard, getting another playmaker, focusing on the future. All the great programs have to do it. Even if you've got a great season now, you always have to be recruiting, and credit to Miami for continuing to get it done in that department. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, but first, Miami fans in the comment section below, look, you're undefeated, right? It's been heartbreaking, and sometimes it's been causing a lot of chest pains, but you're unbeaten so far. Right now, give us your MVP up to this point for the Miami Hurricanes this season, and you can't name Cam Ward. It's a little too easy. Give us your MVP so far for the Miami Hurricanes, not name Cam Ward, and put them in the comment section below. But Miles, what are your thoughts on this latest Hurricanes news?
Yeah, Nick, I would say my MVP, Mario Cristobal, for looking towards the future, knowing there's a lot of short term parts on this team, and he keeps getting players here. And he's capitalizing on something really important because I want to hit on something really important, kind of a theme that we're seeing from Cristobal. You go into the beginning, let's start in the offseason. The offseason, Miami had a pretty okay year last year. I don't think it was nearly as good as this year has been going, but you know who else? The Florida Gators, they weren't terrible. And Florida State was really, really good this coming into this offseason. It was a team that people thought maybe they could go out and be a dominant powerhouse again. Maybe this is a Florida State team that was back. Is everything falling into place for them? Can they continue even without their quarterback and a few key playmakers? The fact of the matter is, Florida has been doing pretty bad. I would say they're not where they need to be. Florida State is doing even worse. I would say they're probably one of the worst teams in the ACC right now. And Miami's on top. And they are chiseling away at recruits who, at the beginning, this is the key here. When Moore originally was going in, he narrowed it down to 3 teams, the 3 Florida teams: Florida, Florida State, Miami. When he narrowed it down to 2, Miami was the first one out. It was against Florida and Florida State. Inevitably, he commits to Florida. Probably SEC team wants to go there, biggest lights in college football, I would say. But now the tables have flipped, and he's like, well, maybe Miami's not that bad after we see how absolutely dominant Miami has been. They've been such a powerhouse this season. I'm really glad Cristobal has come out, and like you say it, we say it all the time, always be recruiting. You always got to capitalize on the moments when you have them, and this is a moment for Miami. Like you said, a couple heart-wrenching wins, but they're still wins. They are getting the job done. They're powering through this season, and everybody's saying, is this a Miami team that's going to make the college football playoff? Probably at the rate they're going. It looks very likely so. So going in here and flipping guys who actually had them as the first one out in their top 3, now committing to that team, we see just how powerful this recruiting strategy is. Hats off to Mario Cristobal. I think he's doing such a great job this season so far.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said there. And if you look at what Miami is doing, it's something very interesting. Like it's very similar to what Clemson did about a decade ago in the upstate of South Carolina, in Tennessee, and North Georgia, an area of the country we call on the show the Smoky Mountain Corridor, because there's a lot of talent, state of Georgia, East Tennessee, upstate South Carolina. And during that period of time, Tennessee Volunteers, they were a down program. They were struggling. The Georgia Bulldogs, this was pre-Kirby Smart, they weren't doing so hot. They were trying to figure out who they were. That opened the door for Clemson to come in and absolutely dominate that area of elite college football talent. And suddenly, out of nowhere, Clemson's the number one team in the country. Them and Alabama are going at it every year for national titles, right? They're crushing it. Multiple quarterbacks, multiple star wide receivers, great defensive line, offensive line, you name it, just unbelievable talent. We're seeing a very similar thing happen right now in the state of Florida. The Gators are down. Florida State is collapsing. It's opening up an opportunity for Mario Cristobal and this Miami Hurricane squad to take advantage of it and just get a vice grip on the incredible amount of talent in the state of Florida. And I think this is the first of many flips, of many commitments to the Miami Hurricanes, because of all the talent in the state of Florida, all these great players, they want to go where the football is the best and where you're winning, right? Obviously, you brought up the SEC being where the lights are brightest. That's undeniably so. But no one wants to go play for a Florida Gators team that's going to lose by 20 to Kentucky, right? That's not worth your time. You want to go to the Miami Hurricanes and play in the college football playoff. People thought Florida State could be that team, but we all know now Coach Mike Norvell can't manage his program unless he's got just an incredible bevy of transfer talent. That's Florida State's collapsing program. We're all seeing it in front of our eyes. It's one of the great collapses, I think, in college football history that's happening this season. All of this is setting up Miami for an incredible opportunity, and Coach Cristobal is taking advantage of it. And if you look at the 2025 class of commitments so far, you'll notice something very interesting. One quarterback, one running back, two receivers, five linemen, two tight ends, three defensive line, two linebackers, five DBs. You know what you call that? You call that a balanced football team. Cristobal, we've seen this basically the last 2 or 3 years now as he built this team into a top 10 team. They're building a completely balanced team. Playmakers on offense, defense, offensive line, running game, special teams, quarterback. They're building a completely balanced team while taking advantage of the deficiencies and issues in Gainesville, in Tallahassee. It's been a magical year up to this point for the Miami Hurricanes, but I got great news for you guys. It is not going to end anytime soon. We're seeing basically a seismic shift in the state of Florida in Miami's favor. This is the first of many, many great years for the Hurricanes, and I think there's a very strong chance we're going to see a mid-2010 Clemson-esque kind of run in the future coming out of Miami.